Okay, we're back with a 3,000 gallon Amazonian Big Cichlid Planet Aquarium. And tonight we're going to take a look at the filtration for this beast. As you can imagine, it takes quite a bit of filtration to filter 21.5 feet long, 6 feet front to back, and 3 feet tall of Amazonian aquarium. So we're going to go over what it takes. So you kind of imagine like a 300 gallon aquarium takes a couple FX6s, maybe 2 or 3 of them or so. You add those together, you multiply it by 10, and before you know it, you're somewhere around an FX120. The crazy thing though is if you call Fluval and ask to buy a FX120, the phone just always seems to disconnect. I don't know what happens. They don't have good phone lines. Okay, obviously I'm kidding there. There's not a lot of commercial filtration that's going to work for a beast like this, but you kind of figure, if I'm crazy enough to build a 3,000 gallon, well, I'm crazy enough to build a filter for a 3,000 gallon. So that's what I have done, and today we're going to go over that. Full detail on the filtration, as well as take another closer look at the aquarium, and probably some spoilers, because some of the grow outs have been moved over, and you're probably going to see them in this video, and maybe, if we can, we'll feed some of the other grow outs and give you a sneak peek of a fish I know a lot of people have been waiting for this aquarium. Also, at the end of the video, a couple spoilers on other projects going on in the aquarium basement, including the new fish room, the DIY build. So, either watch till the end, or if you don't like the video, skip to the end. You can check those out. All right, let's get the filtration on the 3,000 gallon. Okay, so you might think that when we start talking filtration for the 3,000 gallon that we immediately go around to the back of the aquarium, but we're not actually going to do that. We're actually going to start up here in the front of the aquarium with my assistant. And the reason is because a big part of the filtration starts off with the actual design of the aquarium itself, so or the ecosystem within the aquarium. So for example, the very first thing is we have lots of water flow. We have supplemental power heads in the back, and we have lots of returns spread across the whole back of the tank, creating a lot of oxygenated water and creating a lot of water flow in the aquarium, which is keeping the water moving past all of these plants and over the substrate. So those live plants and this substrate is a large part of the filtration. That substrate is full of aerobic and anaerobic bacteria, as well as small, basically tiny types of crustaceans like limpets and things like that, as well as the plants are a filter in themselves. They will take ammonia directly out of the water column, and as well as nitrate as well as a food source. So all of those are working together to give us our first stage of our filtration for the 3,000 gallon. Now, as you can imagine, with big cichlids like these boys, that's not going to cut it. If you had just community fish, you could get, small community fish, you could actually, that could be your whole filter for the aquarium. But with these big boys and the big waste, we're going to have a little more, and I'm going to have to take you around back to show you that. But I think before I do that, maybe we'll take a quick peek at some of our new inhabitants, like our Leucistris pike, and a little further back, our little baby Atabapo 1 pike. Or flame pike, some people call them. They'll get all kinds of common names, but that's a couple of our new fish that have been moved over. So for those of you that like the elongated fish, like the peacock bass or the pike, well, you got more fish to love in the 3,000 gallon. All right, if I can get my assistant to join me, why don't we head around back and take a look at the filter. Okay, so if anyone's seen anything about this aquarium before, we have a very, very long sump filter. And to get the water down to that sump filter, we have to start with overflows. And you see we got a couple coming out the back, and we got one going over the side, and we've got one that's actually coming from all the way down to the other side. And you might think that doesn't seem necessarily fully thought out. Well, it wasn't. I did part of it one way, and then I got smarter as time went by, and I did part of it the other way. But at the end of the day, we did end up with 4 2-inch drains coming down into our first chamber, which is the settlement chamber. Okay, so I'm going to have to put on the light. So as we head down our overflows, we have 4 2-inch pipes, and we're going to go into a settlement chamber down here. And it's important with the settlement chamber that we keep that filter pad nice and clean. So, oh crap. Yeah, so like I was saying, I always keep that filter pad super clean and replace it all the time when it needs to be replaced, because you don't want the physical material building up on top and sloughing off. You want it to get captured here. This is our mechanical filter box as well as our settling area. So whatever does get through, we want to end up down here, like you see here. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to slow this water flow way down. So we've captured a lot of physical material that we can remove with the pad, and then what does escape or overflow, we're going to catch here in this basin, and this is where we always remove water from the sump. So the first action here is to slow the water way down, which we do with this alternating Metalamat filter pad combo. So we're going to keep everything here that can be removed via siphoning, and then we're just going to create an area here where it's all Metalamat. We're going to slow this water column way down. We're also having biological filtration, so the water coming from the aquarium is aerated, and we're going to use that aeration, and inside of this filter box is a bunch of biological material underneath the pad. So we're going to use that for aerobic bacteria to do breakdown of ammonia, nitrite. We're going to get more of that here and more of that here, and then as we go to the next chamber, we come through the Metalamat and we get into our K3 filter box. So here, our moving bed filter, we're re-oxygenating that water, supercharging the aeration, as well as keeping the media suspended in the water column of the filter chamber up at the surface of the water. So we have lots and lots of oxygen and lots of aerobic bacteria. So we're going to finish that job here of breaking down ammonia, nitrite into nitrate. So we've cleaned the water, so it is safe and healthy for fish now. And we've done that in the first probably 10 feet or so of our 22-foot long filter. So now after that, we're going to come on to the next zone, which is our anoxic or anaerobic zone. So the next 10 feet of aquarium filter is our aerobic or anoxic zone. So it is alternating sections of lava rock, Hygger ceramic block, ceramic rings, more block, more rings, more lava rock. And what you see on top, that sediment you see, that's mulm. That's the side effect or the end result. It's of this whole biological process, and that's inorganic. So that's just it's not reactive to the water column. It's inorganic. It's just something that you clean off every once in a while when you do like a yearly big clean out on the tank. You just stir it up and pump it out when you're doing the filtering. But what we have here is we're stripping the idea with this is normally there's no light on this and it's covered, and we're stripping out nitrate. So we're creating that anoxic zone where the aeration has the air, dissolved oxygen has been depleted by the bacteria in the K3 moving bed filter. Now as we move through here, we have less and less and less oxygen, and we don't have no UV other than my camera light here, which isn't normally here, and we try to deplete that nitrate until we come down to the final chamber, where we go ahead and we just block the water flow, keep any sediment before we return it with the return pumps to the aquarium. You can see there is an FX6 sitting here, but this is not being used. It hasn't been used for quite some time. It was used just at the very beginning of the tank and used as a little bit of a polisher, but it is no longer used at this time. So our 21.5 feet by 6 feet deep live filtration bed of sand and gravel, all this rock, all these live plants, all that supplemental water flow, and our 22-foot long sump that we just covered in the back. That is the filtration for the 3,000 gallon. For my little slice of the Amazon, this 3,000 gallon aquarium, that's what runs this aquarium. So when the tank was first started, it had to go through that 6-month break-in period where it looked great for a little while, and then it looked like it was overrun with algae as it started to stabilize, and then the algae burned off and the plants started to take over. And then if you saw the earlier videos on this aquarium, these weren't the plants. It was less of an Amazon aquarium when it came to plants, because it had a whole bunch of water sprite and other things. They looked great, but I wanted it to be a little more authentic, so we went with the swords. And during that time, what ended up happening is I ended up making a lot of big changes to the filtration and ripping out all those mature plants and putting in baby plants, and it had an effect on the aquarium. You know, it sort of, you know, created another little mini cycle in a sense as the ecosystem adjusted to all the changes. And then another thing that happened was I cranked up the lights. I wanted those little tiny swords to grow, and I wanted them to grow fast, and they did. As you can see, they're all getting pretty big. Every plant in here is pretty large. And this dwarf sag you see down here, this was started by just 6 little, you know, clippings from the Asian stream tank that I planted over here, and it's pretty much the length of the tank. It goes everywhere. It's all back in the rockwork, you name it. But anyhow, all the plants took off, and I decided to do the big rebuild of the filtration, cutting in the new drains and everything. So I was messing with it, and what happened? We got algae back. We got algae growing back, and it was covering everything. But now, all those little particles you see in the water is all that algae. It's sloughing off. It's basically dying back. It's getting beat back by the plants. I haven't cleaned anything. That's the thing. There's no water change with this aquarium, no manual cleaning. It's just the system is correcting itself. So now with the lights corrected, me fertilizing properly, and the plants taking back over, it's beating the algae back, and it's just a matter of time before the ecosystem gets itself back to that beautiful stage that it has spent some time at, where you have the clean sand with none of that green algae on the sand. Most of the algae has already removed, you know, been burned off of the plants, or, you know, it's not on the plants anymore. And you can see it's coming off of the rocks and wood as well. So I'm looking forward to the tank getting back to its full glory. But even in these in-between stages, I still enjoy the heck out of this tank. You know, even when it's not perfect, it doesn't really matter. It's a living ecosystem, and it's a fun one. It's a big enough one that you can actually see these big cichlids acting calmly and living together because of the habitat being large enough for them. You don't have all the aggression you normally have with the big apex predators of their environment, and you just get to see them in a much more natural light. As well as you get to add new beautiful pike cichlids that I've been waiting a long time to get in here. And why not just go ahead and throw a little food in and watch the big boys chow down. See, all the albinos have segregated themselves, and we have all the pikes hanging out together. That's one thing I love seeing, is multi-species that a lot of times in a smaller tank you can't just keep together, and you can do that in a larger tank, and that's something that's a lot of fun, because I don't just like one pike. I like lots of pikes. I like lots of big cichlids, so it's nice to be able to keep them together. So yeah, I wish I could have got some video of the other grow outs. I think they're going to be a really good fit with these guys. Really complement the fish that are in here right now. And they're real close too. They are very close to being ready to come in here. I just, you know, an abundance of caution. I had a little problem, you know, getting one of those species, and I don't want to take any chances. And I had one jump out a long time ago, and I don't want to take any chances with that either. So I want to have everything be just right. Little baby Atabapo, baby peacock. What used to be the little Oscars, but they have grown quite a bit since they've been added in here, and finally getting along with the big boss Oscar. It took a little while, but they got it all sorted out. Nobody's any worse for wear, you know. And the same with peacock bass. Actually, the larger peacock bass, he really never gave the new guys the business, but the two young guys, they spar with each other to, I guess, to see who's number 2. But again, nothing too bad, so not bad at all. Sabrina doing great. Green Terror doing great. Let's take a look on the other side of the tank. And of course, the Severum just doing their thing, and the parasichlids, they've actually, they used to nest on the other side of the aquarium, but the Oscar started nesting over there. And so now you have the parasichlids you can sort of see this excavation here. They've dug themselves out a big nest underneath that cave there, and actually the female is in there right now, and the male's over here. So they're definitely feeling right at home and breeding away. I don't know whatever happened, if they ever did have babies. Obviously, this tank, I'd have no way to get them out of here, but So far, I've seen the parent cichlid and the Oscar cichlids lay eggs, but I haven't seen any wigglers, anything raised up. So we'll see what happens. Part of the deal with a tank like this is it is an ecosystem. You have some control, but you don't have total control. That's for sure. You're just gonna have to kind of go with what happens. So we'll see. But it's nice to see that these guys are all comfortable enough in their home, to nest and breed and all those things, as well as to cohabitate peacefully with each other. That's really been one of the big things for this tank, is to have a community of large cichlids and have them get along like they do. All right, I know I can look at this tank all night, but I don't want to bore you guys, so let's go ahead and take a look at some few clips from the other projects that are going on in the fish basement, and we'll wrap it up. It's the beginning of fall. We have lots of things going on in the Aquarium Maine fish basement, like little baby frags growing out in the refugium of the 150. Okay, so in addition to coral frags, we have the gym building. Anyone following along with the aquarium basement knows we have a new room that we're building new DIY aquariums in, and it was contingent on getting all the workout equipment moved out of that room and into this new gym shed, which didn't exist until very recently. I've moved over a little bit of the equipment, as you can see, but certainly not all of it. Since the building got built, it's been raining nonstop, but as soon as I get that equipment moved over, the gym, what once was the gym room in the basement, will be free, and we will be starting on new DIY freshwater aquariums. And just a real quick look at the new fish room for the fish basement. As you can see, more weights to be moved out, floor to be cleaned up and painted, a few more weights, and then it'll just be a matter of getting the area all prepped and ready for the DIY builds. Keep in mind, we have 3 tanks. We probably have, actually, it's going to be twin 550s, 550 on the left side, 550 on the right side, and a 93-gallon cube over here. So we'll do a recap of the Asian Jungle Stream Aquarium, which is the 125-gallon aquarium, 180-gallon overall system that's going to get broken down and moved into one of the new aquariums and the new aquarium basement annex, where they have built those 2 twin 550-gallon aquariums. So before we take this down, we're going to give it one last video and show where this tank ended up after 2 years of life. So as always, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed seeing the filtration in more detail in the 3,000 gallon, as well as just catching up with the tank, seeing some of the new fish in the aquarium, and catching up on some other projects. Like I said, a lot of stuff going on this fall. The DIY builds are starting soon, so check back, because there should be more content coming more frequently as we get into all these new builds.